All right, welcome. That was so. I like that we both were like, let's see how long we can do this for. Welcome back to the Catabolic Window, episode 64. Luke's lighting is orange, my lighting is white. It's all good. There's no white balance. We love it. Today we're gonna talk about some of the most controversial things in all of bodybuilding history. Starting off with Luke's week. How has your week been, mate?
Decent. I'm finally not ill, so we're taking that. Just the occasional cough and
Hey,
a
welcome
bit
back
of
to
a
the
runny
land of the living,
nose.
bruv.
And I'm actually having good sessions and don't look like a box of yogurt, so it's all right. We'll take it.
A box of yogurt,
We will absolutely take it.
a tin of
Yeah.
milk.
Apart from that, tin of milk. Surely
Yeah,
that's
bro.
just cylindrical.
Yeah, exactly.
Bag of yogurt.
Oh,
That's it.
that's horrid.
Yeah, that'd
Bag
be
of
pretty good.
yogurt.
That'd be good. What
Fucking
about you?
hell. Well, my week.
No,
Oh, okay.
your sex life. That's what I want to know about.
Oh, my sex life this week. Very eventful. You were involved heavily. Um. Whoa, shit. I forgot this chair. Wait. Bruv, why does it keep going back? I haven't tested how far this chair goes. My week's been good. Currently, I'll just talk about bodybuilding plans. I'm 210 pounds at the minute, 95 Great British kilos. So down 2 kilos from when we last met. 2 Great British kilos have been shed. We're not dieting. It's
Yeah,
just
only about 80 more to go.
yeah, I know, right? Fuck it out.
Then we'll finally be the same weight.
Take me down to 55, and I might have some abs. Who knows? Um,
Yeah.
but the plan is to hold 210, tighten up from here until around July time. So I think another however long that is. It's the middle of April as we're recording. And then diet down. And Luke knows I want to diet. Everyone knows I want to diet. I've been chewing everyone's ear off about it. So hopefully, come diet time, 210 will look leaner. It's not going to be fucking amazing, but hopefully it's leaner.
No, mate, I had no idea that you wanted to diet. This is news to me. I thought you were going to push up for like another 6 months.
Yeah, fuck, I can't imagine anything worse, bruv. I
Wait, so when
literally
are you going to start your diet?
June, I think it is. I'd have to check. Something like that.
Oh, it's going to be before me.
Mine will be quicker, probably, unless you're planning to do like a 6 to 8 week thing.
Yeah, that's true. Because you're a dirty little cheat who can
Yeah,
diet
exactly.
quickly
Yeah,
and not lose all your tissue.
yeah.
Mate, we could have done like a joint photo shoot. It would have been so cute.
I mean, we still can,
That's true. Yeah, I'll
but
just look even better
what would
because
we
you'll
be
be fat by then.
promoting? What would we be promoting the
I don't know.
podcast?
Just looking cool, mate. Yeah,
Just looking cool. To be fair,
just
like
looking cool.
I want to do a photo shoot during prep just to kind of like get some pictures on my own. I don't know, just to do it. I think it'd be cool to do. Get some marketing material on that.
Oh yeah, for sure, bro. You can do some post stage when you've got your hot cross buns, peanut butter, and jam. You'll be
Oh,
looking full, mate.
I can't imagine anything worse than that currently. Literally, the only thing getting me through the day is plain bagels and raisins. Those are like the only two things I currently enjoy eating. The rest is like just neutral, mate. It just is what it is.
Have you ever done the raisin exercise?
No, what's that?
It's a mindful eating thing. I did it earlier because I was on the PT project call and Paul was getting us to do it. So basically, you take a raisin and you just like look at it for a little while. You just like look at the shape of it and the folds in it and that sort of thing. And then you pick it up and you feel it in your fingers. And then this sounds so dodgy. And then you smell it and then you put it on your tongue and you like see what it tastes like. And this whole process takes like 3 minutes. And at the end of it, I was like, yeah, I don't really like raisins. They're a bit shit.
What? Right. That sounds great, mate. Sure, but what is the point?
It's just to get you to try and think about your food and sort of what you're doing rather than just fucking stuffing it in your face.
So, can you only do it with raisins?
No, you can do it with anything.
Rice is quite
Paul was
boring
saying that he
to
does it
look
with
at.
chocolate, and he's like, yeah, I really don't like chocolate when I just let it dissolve in my mouth. It's weird.
What? Bruv, that's bizarre.
Dude, I'll send you the link. Trust
That is
me.
bizarre.
Trust me. You have to do it.
All right, I'll give that a go. To be fair, I think
Yeah.
mindfulness is not a bad, but particularly mindful eating is not a bad topic. It's something that I've talked about a lot this week. There's one or two clients where
What a segue.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just trying to roll with it. It's one or two clients, and I think, oh, this fucking chair, bruv. I'm gonna. If I have a heart attack live on the pod, it's because I fucking lean too far back in this chair. I've got to lean forward like a nonce.
Just off the dose, it will definitely happen.
More than I'll have a heart attack. Yeah, to be fair, DHT and that. Anyway, so we were talking about this as well, like briefly, and a lot of people struggle with impulse behavior or not or having very little ability to kind of like rationalize their thinking with the short term versus the long term. Do you get what I'm getting at already? Where we're talking about so I had a client example of whenever he's out with his mates, if they offer him food, he really struggles to say no. And we were talking about clients where it doesn't even necessarily have to be food. Maybe it's just anything related to training, cardio steps, or whatever else they've got going on. Maybe it's even meal prepping. They're finding it difficult to take action to do those things or take action against doing something negative because their impulse kind of leads them one way. So, what kind of things have you been suggesting, or what kind of examples? Because it kind of depends on the thing, right? So I think it'd be useful for our listeners. Let's try and provide a bit of value before we go back to waffling. What kind of strategies and ideas do you kind of give people who are struggling with those impulse behaviors?
Please never do that dance again. That's
I'll do it every
horrific.
day.
I think when people hear the word mindfulness, they think it's like a very wishy-washy, like
Yeah.
concept. When you boil it down, it's literally just an awareness of what the fuck you're doing, which is not a bad thing to have in most scenarios. If you're at work and you're trying to do a reasonable job, you should probably be paying attention.
I think it's always like awareness is always good. I think the issue that people have is potentially leading into overthinking. But I think if we're to stay on the topic of food, I mean, it does happen, but it's rare that I see people overthink before eating than be impulsive. And like just to kind of use that example of like someone who gets tempted by a takeaway a lot, I was saying, like say we've all been in this, or we've all experienced this, or known someone experienced this, or have a client who's experienced this. If you're a coach, because a lot of coaches listen to us because we're the most fucking knowledgeable people in the world. If you have a client where they're dieting, they go out, they over enthusiastically eat, and they wake up the next day and they feel negative about that situation that's occurred, right? And you sit them down and you say, okay, why did you go for the food? And it's because in that moment it sounds like a good idea, it sounds like an enjoyable experience, and that's because in the short term it's going to be. But if you think about it more long term, you eating 2 or 3 kebabs is a negative experience in the long term. You eating one or half of one is probably a pretty positive experience because you can sort of, get away with that. You're probably going to be happy with that trade off, or you might not need the kebab at all. But that overindulgence creates a negative experience. But people often struggle to put 2 and 2 together when they're in that moment.
Yeah, I get what you mean. What you want to like creating that awareness initially of what's going on. Like you obviously know if you've fucked up your week because you've had 4 kebabs, as you put it, or I think you said 3. But anyway, the things that I'd look at would be, okay, where does it tend to be? Who are you with? If it's at the same place with the same people, oh, no wonder it keeps happening again. When in the day is it? Is it first thing in the morning? I don't know many people that wake up and start binging straight away. That's quite rare. Yeah. And unless you're post show. And
or post makeup.
How long was it since your last meal? Because if you're eating at the same times, or it never, like, no matter when you eat, it's not really got anything to do with that, then okay, just saying like, okay, let's have a meal every 4 hours isn't going to help. Because for most people, it's not a hunger thing. Like, it doesn't tend to be physiological. The reason why, like, you could probably hack 1,000 calories in terms of not just being disabled and not functioning, but psychologically it's not very easy to do, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's where most of that comes from. It's like your emotions and your feelings, not just, oh yeah, I was like 7 out of 10 hungry and that's why I ate 7 Oreos and then decided to raid the freezer. And wow, I'm really putting so much effort into this analogy.
I know what you're getting at. I know what you mean. Like, I mean, like, there's a few different plays on it, but you've heard people. Stan Efferding says if you're not hungry for protein, you're not hungry, which is a pretty good metric. Kuba used to say if I put unflavored casein in front of you, or I think it was unflavored creatine in front of you, and you weren't willing to eat the powder, you're not truly starving. And like when you do start to experience a bit of hunger, like genuine hunger, and I think both me and you have experienced that at some point. It doesn't matter what
No,
you're
mate, not
eating.
at all. Never been hungry.
Yeah, never. Um, it doesn't matter what you're eating, you want to eat it. It's not as if you put like a plate of like veg in front of us in that moment and we're thinking about ice cream and pizza. We're like, this looks amazing, I need to eat this, I want more of this, I want more of it. Like, you don't care what it is, you just want more. I remember like coming towards the end of a really aggressive diet and just being like, I think I might just double my chicken. I'm just loving chicken. I just want more chicken. I really want more chicken. I'd finish chicken, like plain boiled fucking chicken breast, eat it, and be like, I think that's the best thing I've ever eaten in my entire life. I cannot wait to eat my next one. Like, I was just like obsessed with everything. Like, and it leaves you more full than those other foods as well. So you're kind of already like, focused on just getting rid of that hunger. And that's true hunger. That's not like dopamine chasing. I'm not like, you know, addicted to chicken. I'm not like getting high off of chicken. Whereas it's always people like they go out with their mates. Maybe you're dieting, so it's a little bit cheeky. Ordering a takeaway, it's kind of like if you demonize that behavior and kind of make it a kind of forbidden thing to do, it makes you more inclined to want to do it. And like I said, like if you took a couple of minutes to really weigh up your actions, but okay, how much do I actually value what I'm going to do in the short term, and how much do I actually value long term? Because if you're going to eat something that you realistically, in your heart of hearts, know is not balance, is not a good idea, you know it's too much, you know that you're just going to feel shit the next day, right? And it's not that, go into the kebab store or whatever with your mates, kebab store, the fuck is wrong with me? Well, who calls it that? What? It's not as if like
Shop.
going to the boss man. It's not as if going and enjoying yourself a little bit is a bad thing to do, because you can also wake up from nights out and go, oh man, I really wish I had enjoyed myself a bit more. Like maybe I was a bit too strict. Maybe I could have enjoyed a bit more, and that's fine. But most people tend to go overboard, wake up the next day, and then just feel shit. And it's like you knew you were gonna feel shit in your head. You knew you were gonna feel shit. If you just took 5 minutes to think about what you were gonna do before you did it, you'd probably not have done it.
Yeah, and I think that leads us on to you probably heard of urge surfing before or familiar with the idea if
Yeah,
you haven't heard the specific term. But the general thing is like it's not like you don't always have the same desire to eat boiled chicken breast. When you're hungry, it's a hell of a lot more appealing.
yeah,
When you're not that too hungry, you're maybe gonna get the urge to eat something else. But if you don't make the decision now, it doesn't mean you can't make the decision in half an hour. Like the kebab is still going to be there in half an hour.
yeah,
They're still going to
exactly.
be open. Mate, they're open until like fucking 4 o'clock in the morning. You can really get a kebab in half an hour if you want. So you can say, okay, I'm going to pay attention to whatever the fuck I'm doing and like actually pay attention to it, not sat there like pretending to dance thinking about a kebab. Um, like you're there, like paying attention to the people that you're talking to
Yeah,
and
yeah,
having a
yeah.
decent conversation, and then just reassess in like half an hour. Okay, do I still really want a kebab, or was it because my 5 mates were going to get a kebab and I wanted to take part?
Yeah, exactly. People go out with the best intentions. We're mainly talking about going out and drinking and takeaway because that's where most people tend to fuck up. And it's because they go out with the best intentions. Usually they'll like, let's say, have a meal latest like 7 or 8, depends what time you're going out, and then they'll be out for ages, like hours and hours and hours. So it's a long time when we're not eating. You've probably made some attempt to bank some calories, so there's potentially some hunger going in there. There's alcohol, so there's a little bit of inhibition, prevention. You're more likely to do silly things, we'll go for the less technical phrase. And there's a bit of a social element there as well. Like if all your mates go to the kebab shop, you, when you're a little bit pissed, you feel like you're missing out. Are you? Fuck no, you're really not. Let's be honest. You can go with them, you can stand around. Just because you're not eating a kebab, you eating a kebab, digesting a kebab, and shitting a kebab does nothing for your mate's enjoyment, right? If they're all going there as a group, you can be the one guy who doesn't get anything. No one cares. No one actually cares. But in that moment, it feels like it matters. It feels like you care. And because you have to actively make a decision to say no and kind of go against the grain of everyone else, it makes that harder to do. But like you were saying, if you say, well, we'd take that kebab shop example, would I be here if my mates weren't here? would I actually drag all of my mates out to the kebab shop if I was the only one who wanted a kebab? Would I actually be here? Probably not. Well, do I actually want a kebab? Probably not. And even if you do, give it 5 minutes, see how you feel. Relax, remove your thoughts from the kebab, think about something else, focus on something else, and see if you actually want it. Because you might in 10 minutes' time be like, actually, I'm having a good night, things are going well. I don't really want a kebab. I'm not going to waste my time on a kebab. I'll have something. If I want something else later on, I will. If I want to have something untracked later on, I will. But for now, I don't want this kebab.
And let's be real for a second. The only reason the kebab tastes good is because you had 4 more drinks than you said you were going to have and were already shit-faced.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking hell. And you're not going to remember
I
it the
find it
next
so
day.
funny that people, like, if you don't drink on a night out, they're like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, why are you not drinking with us? But you're like, oh no, I'm driving. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Like, we completely get that. Even just that, like, it seems like if you're not drinking, then you must have a problem with alcohol. You can't just make
Mm,
the choice to not drink.
yeah,
Sound
yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah, the UK people get a little bit funny about like people not drinking, which is difficult because like it's so ingrained into UK culture, and I think it does get easier once you kind of get into like mid 20s onwards. It's just because like most people in their early 20s or younger, they're kind of at that university age where everyone's just like, oh, I've got a bit of cash. I'm over the age of 18. I'm going to spend my life at the pub. Um, and
But
that's
then
sort
they
of,
wonder why they have no money in the last week of the month.
yeah, exactly. Like, did you observe over uni, like people gradually went out less and less? Like, I definitely saw that first year, people were like, oh, you're a bit weird that you don't go absolutely balls to the wall. And in second year, people were like, oh, actually, this is kind of like, I kind of want to do that a little bit. So people started getting into the gym. And in third year, everyone's like, oh, fuck, I wish I wouldn't drink so much. How do you not drink? Like, people start asking you for advice. And like, it goes from you're weird to, oh, shit, that's quite cool. How do I do that? It's like, well,
Yeah, it's start 3 years ago when I did.
yeah. And the thing to mention as well, for anyone listening, is like me and Luke aren't naturally big drinkers. Like, it's not as if we're like hankering for a pint, forcing ourselves not to.
Oh, mate, you should have seen me when I was 16.
Oh, mate,
I was a menace.
mate, me at 15, 16, I was a menace. I got all the drinking out of my system in that like 1 or 2 year span. Honestly, like ridiculous. But like if you enjoy going out for a drink, that's absolutely fine. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. It doesn't mean that you can't manage it. But if your idea of going out for a drink is several times a week, like having double digits of pints, and then sinking hours into the kebab shop, and then coming home and you've spent like 100 150 quid, you feel like shit, you wake up the next day and you're just like fucking bedbound, that's not going to work, right? And realistically, to those people, I've always said it, and like I will still continue to say it. At what point? It's like if you ordered a huge Domino's pizza, you get to halfway through and you stop enjoying it. You're just eating it to eat it. You're just eating it to kind of complete it. And so once you get in the habits of having crazy nights out till 6 a.m. in the morning, well, did the hours from 5 till 6 really make that much of a difference? Did pint 13 versus 12 really enhance your night that much more? Like, there's a real diminishing returns. It gets to a point where like, okay, you've spent 50 quid. Is another 50 actually going to enhance your night that much, or are you just doing it to do it because you don't know what else to do and you're just swept up in it? Like you hit a point where,
Have you ever watched How I Met Your Mother?
yeah, yeah,
Do you remember nothing good happens after 2 a.m.?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Mate, that literally sticks with me because
Mate,
it's fucking so true.
yeah, literally, I never used to. I mainly did it for like messaging. I was like, I'm not going to message anyone or chat anyone or make any big life decisions at 2 a.m.
You didn't do any booty calls after 2 a.m.
Mate, literally, you get all the booty calls in at one half one. Perfect. Because it would hit two, and like again, bear in mind this is like when I was like drinking. I was like 15. It hit like two, and you'll be like, "Oh, this girl in my class. I've got a Snapchat. Fuck it. You've never talked to her before. You send her like a hi message at 2 a.m. It's not a good look."
Yeah, it's not a good look. You see him again the next week. They're like, "What was that message you deleted?" Oh, I've got no idea.
Yeah, you just see it's like Ed or something, or like it just says they've opened that you deleted a message at 2 a.m. and that's it. That looks so bad. Oh fucking hell!
Oh, mate, that's
Tears in
jokes.
my eyes.
All
Holy
right,
shit!
I'm bored of being useful. Let's switch gears.
Brilliant.
What's your best drinking story?
Oh my god, you've sprung this on me. My best drinking story.
I can go first if you can't think of one.
I don't know if there's any good ones, but there's a couple like funny ones. Funny on my expense because I'm an idiot. You go first, mate.
Oh yeah, exactly. It has to be at your expense, mate.
You go first, mate.
Okay, I think I've told the trolley one before on the podcast,
I believe
so
you have.
I'll go with the window one. So my friend Neve was having a party, absolute menace. Of a drinker. Like I honestly, I'm convinced that she spent like a house deposit on alcohol.
Fucking
It's
hell.
wild. So yeah, she was having a house party, and she's got this like little window, like probably this wide, this
Yeah.
tall, like just a small window between the conservatory and the living room. I guess like it's a weird place for a window, mate. To be honest. And my friend Bryn was on the other side of it, and he was just being a bit of a dickhead. Like he was just being annoying. And I was like, right, okay, you deserve to be punched for this. What's the quickest way I can punch you? I just
Oh no.
fucking headbutt this window.
What? While
And
it's shut.
yeah, and
Oh
shatter
mate.
it, mate. It was so good.
You shattered it.
No, sorry, cracked it, didn't shatter it. Shatter it.
Fucking
Like
hell,
as in,
man.
but there was like lines all the way through it. It was a
Oh
thin window in my defense.
mate, that's so bad. That's
Yeah, and
so
mate,
bad.
but the funny thing was, Neve was more annoyed at me that I was annoyed that I'd broken the window. She was like, just have a good night. I don't care.
Mate, that's sick. Fair play.
I was just there like, oh, the eyes are the window to the soul, and I've broken Neve's soul. What the fuck does that even mean, bro?
Oh mate, that's jokes. That is jokes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Your turn.
it's not as
Hit me
good,
with it.
but it will have to do. Um, so there's one time, I'm like back in the day when everyone used to have house parties. Man, I miss house parties. Um, me and my mate, went round to this girl's house where she always held the house parties. Shout out Izzy
Yeah, I
if you're
bet she
listening.
did.
You're not fucking listening, Izzy, but shout out you. You made being
Don't all your
15.
people from your hometown still follow you? She might be.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't think they'll listen to the pod.
Oh, fair.
My hometown's
Yeah.
small though, so like, and my current coaching account used to be my private Instagram, so I just like converted it, so they all stuck around. So it's funny. Anyway, so we're at this
There you
house
go.
party. Someone brings some Jack Daniels, um, and it was the first time that I'd ever seen Jack Daniels or like whiskey. I didn't really know what it was. Right, I'm pretty shit with alcohol. You look at this beautiful glass, honey colored liquid, and they're like, "Yeah, let's do a shot." I was like, "Okay, cool."
Oh
Do a
no.
did a shot, my first shot, right? I'm like 15 here, and I'd
Oh,
already brought my
Jado.
own. I already brought my own drinks, and I was like drinking those. It was probably like ciders or some shit, fucking Strongbow, whatever. And like I did it, and obviously it burnt, but I really liked it. Like I really liked it. Um, and so I just went round like with someone's bottle, just being like, "Who wants to do shots with me? Let's do some shots." And then we were out in the garden in this like circle of people sat around. I think we were doing spin the bottle. I
Uh-oh.
don't know. It was probably like, I don't know. It was a weird time anyway.
Mate, Ring of Fire was the one when I was at college.
Oh mate, yeah,
That
yeah.
game
Trust.
was brutal.
We did that like first year of uni, and then everyone got too cool to do Ring of Fire. I like Ring of Fire, man. Fucking but whatever,
What's wrong
whatever.
with Ring of Fire?
No, people like you know how it is at uni. People do something, and then too many people do it, and then they're like, "Oh, you do Ring of Fire? That's cringe." Shut up.
Yeah, I feel like with Ring of Fire you can't have more than like 10 people.
No, it takes ages.
It's definitely my favorite drinking game though.
What's
Banging.
I've played a couple. I used to do one just to get people pissed at uni. That sounds dodgy. I did it to guys only. That sounds dodgy. I do it to people. I do it to my mates, right? Where basically I know a sick drinking game, and you have to do this to people who are already quite drunk, and you do it to get them turbo fucked. Okay, drink responsibly, kids. You get a deck of cards, and you say, "I know a great drinking game." It's hard to explain, so I'll pick it up as you go. And so what you do is you say like pick a card from the deck, and they pick one. And you say, all right, place it down, and whatever they place down, you say drink, and they go and they're like, okay, okay, weird game, cool. And you're like, you'll get it, don't worry. Pick a card, and just every card they pick, you just tell them to drink. And
That's jokes,
if they
man.
try and guess what the game is, you go, no, you like act a little bit offended and be like, do I actually have to explain it? Like, kind of embarrassing, man. Like, you try and like play on their insecurity a little bit. This is fucked, bro. I'm gonna get cancelled for this. I promise it's funnier than it sounds. And then usually like after the fourth or fifth drink, they give up and they like see what you're doing. But like, yeah, I used to do that to people all the time. Especially if they're like kind of if they're really like pissed in the corner, but they're like not really interacting with people, just to kind of like warm them up. There you go. I made it a bit wholesome.
Just to get them involved.
I promise it's less dodgy than it sounds. That sounds really bad out of context. That sounds like I'm going up to people and I'm
I'm
gaslighting
glad
them
that
into
you
drinking.
specify. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you've got to do with like close mates,
Oh, like I'm
like
talking
people
like
that you know well. Yeah, you
housemates.
can't
Like,
do it to a random
yeah, I'm
person.
talking like housemates and people I live with, and mainly guys and mainly like people who, or like if they live there, like people who are very, very safe. I'm not gonna go and get like women in particular unnecessarily drunk because that's very irresponsible for just everyone involved. So, yeah,
Who do you
big
reckon we'd
disclaimer.
be most likely to get away with that with out of like Ben, Keno, Dan, Tom?
Uh, I feel like I feel like Dan or Keno because I feel
Nah,
like
Dan
they
would suss it out after 2 drinks.
because they need to already be a bit fucked. Whereas Tom and Ben, I feel like just wouldn't get fucked enough to do it
Yeah, that's true.
because they're like I think their tolerance would be good. I think you'd be quite good if I hadn't told you that and I got you drunk and I kind of like played on like, are you shit? Like what if I like kind of gaslit you a little bit? I think
Yeah,
you'd go for it.
I'd just be like, no, shut up.
You could easily do it to me. You could do that if I'm pissed. I'd probably forget that I do that, and like if you did it maybe with like something slightly different, like I don't know if it was like a weird board game or something. I don't know if you had like a weird
I
deck of
don't even.
cards.
Did you even tell me your best drinking story?
Oh shit. So
It's like, where's
oh
this
yeah. So
gone?
like spin the bottle, right? I'll hurry up from here.
Oh yeah, that was it. That was it.
I run inside because I need a piss. I don't want to miss out on the action. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I did a shot, went for a piss, came back, did a shot, did a shot. I remember that vividly. Went to the garden, and I was like, something's not right here. Something's not right. It's like 8 p.m. It's bright, it's sunny, it's summer. I start throwing up in Izzy's bush, and there's about like
That's not a euphemism, guys.
yeah, I was in her garden. It was Flora, her garden Flora. That sounds worse. Her actual
Yeah, it
garden.
does.
I'm chundering in her garden, and there's like there's like 12 of us there, probably like 7 or 8 girls, and I shit you not, all of them are filming me and putting me on their Snapchat story, like all of
Oh
them,
no.
and
All
I
street cred gone.
and no, like I'm throwing up, and like out of the corner of my eye, just see like fucking phones. Someone's got their flash on. You know, people pull out their phone out their pocket and it's got their flash on. Seeing all these phones, fucking like glittery phone cases and shit. My mate walks me home, and I've never been that fucked in my life. I fell asleep, woke up in the middle of the night with a hangover at like 3 or 4 a.m. Couldn't get to sleep. All I saw was just messages on my Snapchat was blowing up of people being like, why are you throwing up in Izzy's bush at like 8 p.m. or whatever the fuck? Like people rinsing me. And I went on stories and it's like back to back, it's me throwing up. And then like you can hear the audio. Oh, mate, bad, bad.
Great way to get engagement, mate. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's how I built my brand off a Snapchat video.
Fair. And what about best alcoholic drink, like best spirit and best like low percentage one? Like I'm talking sub 15%.
Probably for the low one, I'd say I'm a dichotomy man. I would say either Guinness or WKD. Right? Weird mix. Weird mix. Depends on
So
the
you're gonna
vibe.
beat your girlfriend or you're gay. Is
It's either.
basically where
It
we're
does
at.
sound like a gay guy who's trying to like stay closeted, doesn't it? WKD or a Guinness.
I
Spirits.
would say
Spirits is a hard one, isn't it? Do
for
spirits
me,
first.
yeah. To be fair, I've outed myself here because I was going to say schnapps. I'm fucked.
Nah, Luke. Bruv, you are better than that.
Yeah, man,
Schnapps.
it's so good.
Sours, bro.
S- No, I can't do sours.
I
There
actually
was this
like
one girl
sours.
at my college that like got so fucking shit faced on sours. I can't even look at the bottle without being like, how is she still alive?
Mate, it's once you've chundered sours, it ruins it because it's
Yeah, it's not good.
so flavored, horrid.
And then spirits, what would you say?
I can't touch vodka because of being 15. To flavor, like just as soon as it hits my tongue, throw up. I can't touch Jack Daniels. Surprise, surprise. I can't do any whiskies. I'm gonna have to go for gin. I'm gonna be a pussy.
No.
I'm gonna be a pussy about it. I like a floral gin. That's like the only spirit I can hack that doesn't make me immediately throw up. Like there is a gag reflex with me in spirits unless I drown them. But yeah, I mean, I don't really. The only time I would drink spirits is if I was dieting, and if I'm dieting, I don't really go out that much or have that much drive to go out. Like I'm like quite reserved. So the only time I really go out is like when food is at a decent level, and then I'll usually have like a Guinness or a WKD, or I might have like a G&T, but rarely.
The only gin that I like is pink gin. The rest of them like just taste like
Pink
ass.
gin's nice. I come back to pink gin. You get what I meant.
When we eventually go on a night out together, we're gonna have to get a bottle of it's the Polish vodka with a bison on it. It's got like a blade of grass and it's called Chubrovka.
Is it good?
You can it's really good, mate. It's really good. And
Can't.
Honey JD is banging as well, to be fair. I rate that.
Oh no, no, not JD, bro. No, 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 no,
Yeah,
no,
man.
no, no.
You've just got PTSD.
If I
Right.
need to make
We're gonna
weight,
go
I'll have some fucking JD because I'll just throw up. I need to dry off. Have some JD.
yeah, never do that. Right, mate, we're gonna storm through these. These are fitness industry reality checks. Things that people needed to hear when they were new into
All
the
right,
gym.
all right.
Number one, do your hinges. Thoughts?
Uh, Hinge patterns. Yeah, they're pretty beneficial. Does it
No,
need to
mate, the
be?
hinges on doors.
Do you need a barbell to do it? No, but I'd say you should definitely do some hinges. They're pretty good for lower body development.
Any reason why you wouldn't do a hinge?
Uh, Probably low back issues, and you don't have a hyperextension, or usually just injury prevention in general.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. It wasn't very controversial.
If you can, you should.
Um,
Sorry.
but as we said a couple of weeks ago, it's not going to be like the be all and end all of
It,
your posterior chain development.
I would view it very much as a lower body posterior exercise than an upper. Like it's the icing on the cake for the upper part of the posterior chain. I would say I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, top three back builders and put like a hinge in there. You know, it's just not gonna supply that much stimulus. It's a nice little cherry on top, but I mean, I went without a hinge for a very, very, very long time, and I've programmed quite a few people who can't hinge, and you can still develop an insane back. And I've never looked at someone who hinges quite strong and got and has and have been able to see that the hinging in particular has developed their back. You know, I just it's just not that much back stimulus.
Truth, truth bomb. Next one. Tracking calories doesn't mean you have an eating disorder.
Yes, 100%, man. Like tracking something doesn't necessarily mean that there's a disorder there. Your relationship with food and how you view those calories, or maybe your emotional attachment to those calories, is different. But I think just tracking in and of itself is fine, whereas attaching emotion to that tracking is where people go wrong.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. If we were to analogize this to say your finances, it's like, oh mate, you're paying attention to your finances. Clearly got a problem. Like you're clearly fucked. You're clearly spending all your money.
Yeah, exactly. Like just because I think yeah, it just comes down to emotion, doesn't it? Like me and you can track our calories, go over, go under, and not feel shit about ourselves. We can just be aware of it. It's just data that we're gathering. Whereas, because we're in control of if we do want to go over or go under. Whereas, we're not gonna say undereat on a bulk and feel like a day's wasted, or overeat on a cut and feel like we're fat. It's just not gonna. we're not going to think that way. And the more you do it, the less of a big deal it becomes anyway. Same with scale weight. I think weighing in once per week is almost more pressure on the scale than weighing in daily and letting it fluctuate and kind of making it less of a thing that you observe.
Yeah, there's never a right way to approach it. It's like
Yeah.
you can't give a this is what you need to do. It's so specific to the person and the thing that they're struggling with and the
Yeah.
severity of it as well, because there's points where we would be like, yeah, okay, this isn't something that I can help with.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. 100%. I think you have to be very, very honest with when you can't. Have you ever done that for anyone? Have you ever had anyone, because you might not have had anyone come forward that you can't, that's kind of too far gone, but have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, where I've had to say like, okay, this isn't my thing. And
Yeah.
especially the first time you have to do it, it's hard to do that as a coach, to say like, I don't have the answer to this thing. But in the long term, it's definitely the right bet, because if you're
Yeah.
truly out of your depth, you don't know if you're doing the right thing.
Mm.
So you're way more likely to fuck someone up. Whereas like we know, okay, yeah, this is a retarded thing to prescribe with training and someone's diet.
Yeah, exactly. Particularly with like the field of mental health, particularly like relationship with food, is its own separate study, and you can sort of like we do and talk about. We can assist in some capacity, in a very limited capacity, but in some capacity with that. Same for injuries. Like we're able to kind of prevent and manage minor injuries, but if you've caused a very serious injury, we're more likely to refer you out to someone who actually deals with that specifically. Like coaching is going to encompass like some things in a lot of detail and a lot of things in other like less detail, but sometimes you do just have to hold your hand up and be like, look, this is just not my area of expertise. I've also, for reference, had to turn like a few people down and say, I'm gonna have to refer you out to someone else because I'm just not comfortable with helping you navigate that, whatever it is.
Yeah, there's a difference between like someone saying, "Oh yeah, I get a bit of knee pain on the leg extension," to you going, "Luke, what's to you say to me, Luke, what's wrong with my knees?" I don't
Yeah.
know. Fucking go and see someone in person, because you're fucked, with all due respect.
It's the same thing with and I always like kind of question clients if they do bring up like relationship with food. Like I'm sure you've also had it where people inquire, they're like, oh my god, I have really horrific relationship with food, highly disordered eating, and then you kind of get to know them and you're like, actually it's not as bad as you think. There's a little bit of negativity there, but your relationship with food is actually quite manageable and we can work on that. um but yeah, I think you kind of with everyone just have to look out for like certain things and certain like emotional responses or certain things that don't quite add up that potentially mean that okay, that person needs help from someone else.
Yeah, I think binge is one of those words that people use very, very loosely.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I went 500 calories over, I had a massive binge. That no, no.
That's like a bag of chocolate. That is one bag of chocolate over. That tells me you had a craving, you ate a craving and then stopped. That's not a binge.
Yeah, you went over your calories, mate.
Yeah, like that's fine, that's manageable. um yeah, I think that's a very good point as well. Binge is such an overused word.
Uh, Motivation will never get you the progress you want.
What do you mean by that? Like what? To
Like, as in, motivation alone isn't enough.
Yeah, motivation alone. Yeah, sure. I'll say yeah.
You got nothing else to add to that?
I mean, I don't. The whole motivation versus commitment or being disciplined, my take on it is too many people use it as a crutch to do something they fucking hate. Um, and they'll be like, oh, I hate training, but I do it because I'm committed. I hate my food, but I do it because I'm committed. And it's like, well, why don't you try and play around and find something that you do enjoy a little bit more? Because if you are motivated, you're going to do better. So the more that we can kind of incentivize and culture that, the better you're going to be. So me and Luke's clients aren't just like absolutely dragging their feet, fucking slamming their face against glass because what we've set them is so optimal or so ideal that they hate it. Because be committed, bro. Another week of clients going, that was shit, and you go, yeah, commitment, stay fucking committed. You don't need motivation. Like, I think
Who's
motivation
going to
is,
carry the boats?
yeah, exactly. And one of the key things that we look for in feedback from our clients is enjoyment. So there's a balance. I feel like nowadays people skew too much the other way of like, be a fucking monk and a disciple and don't you dare eat anything that's remotely processed, eat the same foods every day, eat boring, live boring, go to bed, don't do anything fun, hate your life and you'll make the best progress. And it's like, well, actually the guy who's got a bit more flexibility than you but fucking loves what he's doing is constantly outdoing you because he actually likes what he's doing. So that's my take.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that a light
Is
switch?
there
Yeah.
anything that you think you needed to hear early on into training? And what a beam of light, mate. Jeez.
Oh yeah, right in the camera. Anything that I needed to hear? Don't work with Luke Schultz.
It's not very nice. Make this the best decision you ever made. What are you
It
talking about?
was. We just click. Did you miss my hand signal? You did. All right, that's fine. You can enjoy watching that on Spotify.
Yeah, I didn't see. What, you
Uh,
think I'm going to watch this drivel back?
I made the sex. I made the sex action when I said we just click.
Oh, okay.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
sound.
Um,
Nice. Very
think
straight of you, mate.
things that I needed to hear when I first started training. Um, I think probably that there's
Well,
more
not
to the.
first started, but early on.
I'd say there's more to this than you think, and always be open to finding out more and trying new things. A mixture between pursue knowledge and pursue enjoyment, I guess. But like, I definitely a year into lifting was like, okay, I've watched Jeff Nippard. I know what I'm doing. You know.
Yeah, I was talking about this with one of my clients the other day, and we just tried a new exercise,
Yeah.
like literally added it in first week, and the video he sent me, I'm like, to be honest, mate, I haven't really got any issues. This is a new thing, and you set it up really well, you're performing it really well, and it's just a testament to all of the shit that you've learned elsewhere,
Mm.
and then can apply to new movements. And he sort of said, like, yeah, I'd watched a couple of JPG videos, and I thought I knew it all, but what people take away from it is the specific exercise,
Yeah.
not the general principles of what to do, which you can then apply to absolutely everything.
Yeah. I think people love to say like, don't overcomplicate, and while I like that, it depends who you're saying it to, because there are people that do overcomplicate unnecessarily, right? We talked about people DMing us about how can I target my iliac over my other parts of my lat, right? Or fucking talking to you and asking you things as if they've got like judges feedback and they're like a year into lifting, right? That is overcomplication, sure, but equally there's still a lot of like pushback of, oh, you've been lifting for 2 years. I know what I'm doing, bro. I've got this, whatever. Kind of like, you look at their progress from an external standpoint. I see it all the time on Instagram. Follow people, they'll be like, hey, man, gonna do this off season. Check up on them 6 months later. And they're like, yeah, not much has changed, but it is what it is. And you're like, well, how do I say, fucking sort yourself out, mate? Because this is not how things should be going. It's frustrating because there is still a big lack of knowledge. There's still a lot of people asking like very simple things, and I think that there just plain old is a lot more to this than people give it credit for, and you don't need to necessarily dip your toe into that, but I think you should be open to exploring what other people have to say who are professionals, and seeing if you like that, because if you like it ultimately and it does you faster progress, why the fuck wouldn't you do it? I mean, that's what we do right now.
Yeah, you might be overcomplicating it, you might be undercomplicating it for your level of advancement, but there's you need to earn the right to complicate it to a certain degree.
Yeah, of
But
course.
that isn't years training.
Hmm.
That isn't how strong you are or how much tissue you have. Like, I think
Thank
it's,
you. Yeah.
to an extent, it's how much you have committed and how much it's actually paid off. Like, if you're worrying about targeting a specific part of your back rather than growing all of it, and I can't sit there and go, yeah, that's your trap, that's your rhomboid, that's your teres. Like, you look like you fucking know what you're doing.
Mm,
Fair enough, because that's evidence to some degree.
mm.
But once you've like once you're willing to put in a decent amount of work and can actually feasibly do that, then yeah, complicate the fuck out of it if you want to, because it probably will get you better results,
Yeah.
providing you still enjoy it.
And I think complicate is almost like the wrong word because it sounds messy and confusing and overwhelming. Like as you get more advanced in your goals and your
Complex.
yeah, and your body gets more advanced, like what you're able to do and what you consider difficult or hard to understand, or the complexity of your plan is going to evolve, but you're going to consider that simple. Like some of the program principles that we give to clients now, we think of as pretty off the cuff and pretty like, yeah, of course. I remember first learning about resistance profiles, right? You're telling me that the short range I want to train at the start and the lengthened range towards the end. Fucking hell, that's a whole thing I've got to think about, right? First time you probably heard about that. Whereas
Yeah,
now it's
yeah, yeah. And
just
now
innate.
we just put it in that order,
Yeah.
and we don't think about why we've done it like that until we look back, and you're like, oh, okay, why have I got a cable chest press first, and then I've got a dumbbell chest press later on in the exercise, later on in the session.
Yeah,
You're like, oh,
exactly.
yeah, that's one of the reasons why I've done that.
Yeah, I remember as well, like trying to figure out exercise resistance profiles, and like I'd have to like even common ones, watch it back and be like, okay, hang on, I know it's short range, but hang on, give me a couple minutes. I'll remember why it's short range, and I'll watch it back. Whereas now you're like, okay, yeah, I can see it. Like immediately, I can see it. I know it's short range, but I can also see it's for you there. So
Yeah, that's also a function of doing it. You're
yeah,
like, oh, okay.
same
Like
for
a great way. I heard this from. Do you follow Vide Fitness?
no, sorry, not
No,
cool enough.
men's physique guy. He's a personal trainer up north somewhere. But he was like a really easy way to get people thinking about exercise mechanics is where would you least want to hold a rep?
Yeah, yeah,
Because you hold a dumbbell press pretty much all day here. That's why people rest there.
mm.
Nobody rests at the bottom of a dumbbell press or the
Yeah,
bottom of a squat because it fucking hurts, man.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
why.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as well, like same for setting people up on kit and giving form feedback. Like that's as soon as we look at form feedback now, it's pretty like even machines that we might never have used. It's pretty immediate what needs to be changed. Whereas the first few times around you're coaching someone, it takes you a second. There's a bit of a lag, and you're like trying to figure out. And you're like, am I right? Is that right? And like so we're talking about coaching, but the same thing applies to our plans. Like when plans that we wrote probably like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was a lot
They're
more
all awful.
thought. There was a lot more thought and a lot more like or things that weren't thought through as much that now we're like, I didn't even fucking think about this principle or whatever, and now I just apply that like without thinking. It just goes in. It's just automatic. Like, of course, yeah, I'm going to do that. Same for nutrition as well. Like carbs around the workout window in general. Like that might be an example of whereas before you just focused on, oh, the calories have to be even. Now you're focused a bit more on which macros are going where.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So
And to return to the thing that we were
yeah,
talking
thank
about
you.
then about like reality checks, one of them for me would definitely have been like just fucking pick something
Yeah.
because I was so concerned about going in the wrong direction that I didn't go anywhere.
Mm.
Like I'd bulk for a little while. I'm like, oh mate, you're a bit fat now. Like you should probably sort this out.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
go into a deficit again, and then I'd be like, oh no, you're small, mate. You can't be cutting now. This is fucked. And I just literally spent like 3 years fucking nothing happening.
I surprisingly actually didn't do that.
Can't
Um,
believe it.
I first time I got in the gym, I was like, I want to get lean because I was like skinny fat. So I got abs and I clung to them for a while, like
Yeah, yeah.
6 months, and then I was like, right, I want to get fat, I want to get strong, and then I did that, and then that actually was like pretty productive. But I think the thing that I missed out on as well, because it wasn't as emphasized back then, it was like, oh, what do you do? You do 3 sets of 10. What do you do? 4 sets of 12, 3 sets of 12, whatever. That was the way that like every program was. No one ever talked about like progressing load and reps. And I remember the first time I found out about that and being like, oh, just because it's hard doesn't mean that you stop. You can keep going. And also, you can aim to beat what you did last week. I remember like my first few weeks of training, I deliberately hold reps in reserve because I'd be like, well, I thought of like failure as like this static point that I couldn't push beyond. Do you know what I mean? Like I thought like if I can bench 70 for 10, I'm always going to be able to bench 70 for 10 for the next few months. So I need to start off with 60, work my up to 70 and then deload and then go from 60 again. And like I would just do that over and over and over again. So I've definitely limited myself there by like not realizing that actually adaptation can occur session to session.
I don't think it's true that it wasn't out there in terms of the progressive overload thing, but it's more niche.
Yeah, like it's
It's like
definitely a
over time, people are like, yeah, I should probably do a little bit more, but
yeah,
that
exactly.
weekly focus on it is a bit more
Yeah, sorry.
niche.
That's a better way of putting things in the general kind of like fitness space of like, trying to get in shape, build a bit of muscle, get a bit strong, get laid, whatever. it
That
yeah, I,
last one is definitely the most important.
yeah, I heard the term progressive overload, but I thought of it as like, okay, well currently again, it was always bench. I bench 70. Next thing I want to bench is 75. So I'll just kind of work my way there. And I had no idea of like, okay, I probably could have got there in like a month, if that. Because I just like could have pushed a bit harder and like actually like push my way up there rather than just doing the same numbers over and over again. But I would let it take like 3 months to get there, um, because I was like, oh, I
Makes
don't
sense.
want to fail because like once I've failed, then I've failed, and like that's just where my strength ceiling is, and you can never hit the ceiling. And like yes and no, I just was training in a very inefficient way, and if I wanted to grow something more, throw in more sets was always the way to go, and they weren't quality either. No reps controlled, Mr. Injury all the time. Jesus.
Mate, impressive stuff. Impressive
Yeah,
stuff.
buddy. All right, I think
Fucking
that
hell.
we've hit 50 minutes, mate. I think that might be the episode. Is there anything that you wanted to quickly run through?
Uh, yeah, you're small.
Oh,
That was it.
yay! I'm small, guys. Anyway,
Usual spiel. DM us for coaching and all of that important stuff. So usual protocol there, Jack. DM us both, and then whoever gets back to you first. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So
That one works every time.
so if you're after coaching, our speciality is physique and strength. If you want my amigo here, he's at LacticAddictLuke. It's not acid, it's addict. The amount of people come up to me and go, "Oh, you mates with Lactic Acid Luke." It's not his name. It's not his
But
name,
people can't read.
right? It's addict. There's a pun in there. He's not just chucking it in there. And I am at Jack Archer Coaching. If you want coaching from us or a little bit of info about that, or just want to see what we get up to, then follow our Instagrams. And yeah, thank you all for listening. Leave a rating, like the podcast, share it on your stories, and tag us. And if you tag us, we will spoon you to sleep next time you go to bed. Doesn't matter where, we'll just find you. Anything else you want to add, mate?
No, man, that's perfect.
All right, cheers, guys. Bye.